What does your reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination say about your love life? You might not think these things are related at all, but we're actually going to take a look at what blind spots your reaction to his assassination might actually be revealing about the state of your heart and your mind, and how that translates in your intimate romantic partnership. So I'm not here to change your mind, okay? And I'm not here to give you advice. I'm really not interested in generating the karma with you that comes along with giving you advice or trying to pry your mind open. That's not my vibe. What I do here in this podcast is I help you grow spiritually, and I help you deepen the enjoyment of your relationship. And those things are one and the same. So we're looking at how do you grow spiritually through the vessel of your relationship. And of course, in the process, it just gets easier and more pleasurable when you're relating more consciously. So what I want to offer you is my projector perspective around unconscious ways that you might be falling into that collective unconscious thought trap, which of course is a paradigm of war. It's a paradigm of war consciousness, which kind of keeps you stuck in the third dimension. And so if you are already interested in moving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, because this is the time to do it, Earth is already going through her own evolution and consciousness. So there's just a big wave that we have the opportunity to ride. If you're already interested in wanting to ride that wave, I want to offer you my perspective around any blind spots you might be missing, what might be holding you back from your intention, and how to actually make that leap. I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk and most of his takes, but I'm also not celebrating his death. That's the war culture, right? It's self-righteousness, it's ego-driven, it's this or that. Either I'm right and you're wrong, or vice versa. There's only one way of existing, and the unconscious egotistical thing to say is my way is the right way. And it's celebrating your opponent's defeat, basically. War paradigm. In contrast, of course, a paradigm of peace, which is a paradigm of pleasure, because there's no pleasure in war, okay? Even if you're quote unquote winning, living in a war paradigm is absolutely horrible for everyone involved. It really takes away your empathy and it closes off your heart. And so this is how it relates back to your love life, right? So in a culture of peace, you can hold multiple truths. You can hold multidimensionality. It's okay, this guy has some opinions I don't believe or I don't agree with, and he's having his experience, I'm having my experience. But there's not this need to control and dominate, right? That's part of the war culture is I disagree with him, and so I want him shut down, right? Or I want him eliminated from the earth. War paradigm. In the peace paradigm, you can still have different perspectives and still be on the same team, okay? And so if you are celebrating or even feeling relief at his death or feeling joy at his death, what this is revealing to you is that there is some war energy that is still living inside your heart and living inside your mind. It's a lot easier to practice these more kind of peace culture with someone who you love, someone who loves you. You might have more trust with each other because you have a history. Maybe you've worked through some conflicts in the past without warring, or if you did war a little bit unconsciously, you came back together and you repaired. And so that's part of this foundation of trust that you have. And if there's a desire to connect and a desire to deepen, it's going to be 100 times easier than practicing this with someone who might trigger you, like Charlie Kirk, who has some very, let's say, beliefs on the very opposing end of the spectrum. But the reason why I'm connecting this very triggering public figure to your very private, intimate love life is because these are the same practices on a different spectrum. So you can practice swimming in the deep end and you could practice swimming in the shallow end. It's obviously going to be easier to practice in the shallow end, but if you are able to swim in the deep end, you are 110% sure that you're going to be able to swim in the shallow end. You're not going to train for the Olympic gold medal in the shallow end. You see what I'm saying? So if you're having a reaction to this that is revealing that there is some war culture living inside your heart, living inside your mind. This is revealing to you that on the same spectrum, that very much could be showing up in your intimate, private relationship, because it's the energy, right? It's the same heart and the same mind with which you relate to your partner as the heart and the mind that is celebrating his death. You see, your political opponent's death. And so it could show you that even deep down, even if you don't see it on the surface, that if you and your partner have a disagreement, you might feel that impulse to think, well, I'm right and he's wrong. Or, well, you hurt me, and so now I want you to suffer too. I want you to feel that pain. That's some more energy. That's the energy of punishment. And it's violence nonetheless. Even if it's emotional violence, violence is part of war culture. And believe it or not, okay, this is not human nature. A lot of people think that war is part of human nature because it's been around on the planet for quite some time. This energy is not native to Earth. It comes from a foreign planet and it has infiltrated Earth. It's no coincidence that it's keeping us locked in the 3D, because that's part of human oppression, right? It's like you could look at what's happening on Earth and say, oh, there's 1% of humans oppressing 99% of humans. But what's actually going on is that 1% of humans, that energy that they're channeling is not their own. They're just the puppets for, let's call them some shadow forces from literally a different planet. Okay. So it is completely not human nature to be at war with each other. And so part of how you enjoy the pleasure of relating is kind of like detoxing that energy that is not yours, which is that war energy. And it can show up very subtly, like the examples I just gave. You turn against your partner if you get into a conflict, or you feel pain and you want them to feel pain too. So you might jab them back emotionally, right? That's not your truth. Does not lead to peace, does not lead to pleasure. So if you really want to deepen with your romantic partner and you're finding yourself kind of getting stuck in that collective unconscious war paradigm, here's a place to look. So what we can look at is what is actually the wisdom underneath the relief that you might be feeling or the celebration that you might be feeling. Like, what is that reaction actually telling you? We can look at what's the deeper thing going on there. In other words, what is the need? I hope you enjoyed that clip from the podcast episode. If you want to go deeper, you can check out the full episode by clicking the link in the description below. And let me know what this stirred up in you. Did it press on any of your triggers? Is this something you're already practicing? Or did this inspire you to maybe explore an edge that you had been flirting with or haven't even considered before? I do read the comments and I really enjoy hearing, how did this touch you? So let me know.